about Players Union leader DeMaurice Smith. Gruden apologized for his insensitive remarks when asked about the decade-old emails following the Raiders' 20-9 loss to the Chicago Bears. Here's Gruden.
All I can say is I'm not a racist. I don't. I can't tell you how sick I am. I apologize again to D. Smith, but I feel good about who I am and what I've done my entire life. And I apologize for the insensitive remarks. I had no, I had no racial intentions with those remarks at all. But yes, they can. I'm not like that at all, but I apologize. I don't want to keep addressing it. I can't remember a lot of the things that transpired 10 or 12 years ago, but I stand here in front of everybody apologizing. I know I'm not, I don't have an ounce of racism in me.
Okay, that was John Gruden. His former player, Keyshawn Johnson, addressing the incident earlier. Take a listen.
He's a bad person. I tried to tell people this when I played for this man. But I was in the wrong. Keyshawn just a spoiled brat. Oh, Keyshawn just a diva. Oh, Keyshawn just wants the football. But here we are now, however many years later, and stuff is coming to the surface. And now look what we're dealing with. We're dealing with some race insensitive behavior by a head coach who many thought didn't even deserve the opportunity to coach the Raiders. But guess what? He did. And now this is what we're dealing with. And you got to deal with that locker room. We saw yesterday on the football field what that locker room turned out to be, which is an L. You don't think that was heavy on them black players and some of the white players' mind? Hell yeah, it was.
Okay. A lot to unpack here. Stephen, I'll start with you. What do you think should happen to John Gruden?
Not a damn thing, other than what's happening. He has to stand before black men, what you said. It was racially insensitive, it was irresponsible. And there are people that are going to view him as a racist now. He has to live with that. But as it pertains to what should happen to him, I want to emphasize this. He should not be fired, nor should he be suspended. He was not working for the NFL in 2011, a decade ago, when this email was when he wrote this email. I believe it was to Bruce Allen, who was running the Redskins at the time, and he was close with Bruce Allen from their days back in the day with the Raiders or whatever. But he was not with the NFL. He was working for us here at ESPN, doing Monday Night Football. And so when you take that into consideration, the fact of the matter is that I don't believe that the NFL should have any jurisdiction to do anything with him based on an email that circulated from a decade ago. If that's the case, I got news for you. There's a whole bunch of people that's in a world of trouble. When we get to sit up there and reflect back on things that we said, or emails that we may have written from a decade ago or more, there's a whole bunch of people in this world that's going to be trouble, that's going to be in a world of trouble if that's the litmus test, or if that's the standard by which we get to decide whatever ramifications or repercussions need to come in somebody's way in terms of their job security and what have you. That is separate and apart from what I feel. I don't believe that John Gruden should be fired. I don't believe that he should be suspended. But I do believe that he deserves the black community and a whole bunch of white folks as well looking at him with a raised eyebrow like, who are you? What kind of person are you? And what would make you say what you said? And obviously they're gonna lean towards race. And for John Gruden, in case you don't understand, sir, let me explain to you why that is. When you pointed to DeMaurice Smith, the executive director of the the NFL Players Association, I'm sorry. First of all, you called them Dumb Smith, okay, in the email. Well, you questioning his intelligence. We could call DeMaurice Smith a lot of things. Dumb ain't one of them.
Yeah.
Dumb ain't one of them. That brother's smart now, okay? So that's a stereotype that black men men in leadership positions have been trying to fend off for the longest time. That's why the first order of business is to establish respect, not love, not adulation. It's respect for my competence, my level of excellence, and what I bring to the table in doing what I do. That's number one. Then you go to the, lips like Michelin tires. Well, we all know what you're trying to connotate with that, because black people been dealing with that forever. Now then you try to cover it up, which basically omits or just dissipates the substance of your apology. Why, John Gruden? Because when you said that, you said, well, I wasn't meaning anything racial by it. That's usually what I call people who are liars. Who the hell believes that? I mean, I'm wondering, that one statement that he made right there made me wonder, is he around? I had to remember he was a coach just to remind myself that he's been around black people. How in God's name could you possibly think that excuse would fly?
It's almost like the cover-up's worse than
The cover-up's worse than the crime. Okay, almost. Here's what I will say. John Gruden worked at this network. Every experience I had with him, the man couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been kinder. And he loves football. You can talk football with him all day. So anybody that's looking for me to castigate this man's character overall, I'm not doing that. That's not the John Gruden that I saw, that I worked alongside as a colleague here. Okay, Mike Tirico said the same thing on NBC last night, because obviously he used to do Monday Night Football for us with John Gruden, and he would know. The great Tony Dungy, accept his apology as his word. I can't ignore that either. But I will say this: Keyshawn Johnson, his words are just as significant as both Mike Tirico and Tony Dungy, in an opposite way. Because Keyshawn Johnson, played for this man, won a Super Bowl with this man. More importantly, what Keyshawn told y'all today, Keyshawn told me for years. He has always felt that way about John Gruden. His words have been incredibly consistent. We just need to pay attention to the fact that at no time during Keyshawn's diatribe, at least according to the sound that I heard, did he say the man was a racist. And because he didn't say that, and because that wasn't my experience, I'm going to say to you, I'm going to take John Gruden at his word, because I've never seen anything otherwise from him. But what he said was irresponsible. It was hurtful. It connotated racist behavior. And I think his comeuppance is sitting and standing before black men, knowing everybody's looking at you with a raised eyebrow now, wondering what you really think about black people.
Stephen, you guys talk about it, and honestly, it blows my mind that anyone, in the position Coach Gruden has been in for a lot of years, been in that kind of time around African Americans, would think that it's okay to put that in an email and send it. God knows I've said some stupid things. I've said some crazy things. To friends, you're out, you're having a good time, drink, whatever you said, you know what I mean?
All of us.
But none with an intent to harm in any way. None with an intent to harm. We just went through, and still dealing with, I'm not minimizing that, the social injustice in this country. And at the time, there were a lot of people coming out saying, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And it was a joy to see them say it. But even when they were saying it, I was sitting there thinking, I hear what you're saying, but I want to check your footprints in your sink. What have you done? Like, I don't want you to just say something without looking at what you have done, or even after you said, looking at what you're going to do. I want to see your footprints in the sand. What have you done? You just saying it? Because I don't want you just saying it to clear you if you haven't done anything about what you're saying, So first of all, him giving an apology, when I watched his apology, I appreciated giving an apology, but what I did take kind of something to was him trying to end it. When you're the perpetrator, you can't end it. You're going to give an apology, and you can let the people that you offended heal, and then they say it's over. I don't want to answer any more questions about it. You can't end it that way. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But John Gruden said something, and you said something. You said you talk to people who has been that time around, because when you are the perpetrator, you speaking for yourself. Your words carry no weight. So you have to go to the other people that are close with him and try to ascertain more things about him. So Coach Dungy, I'm with you. I give that. Coach Dungy, those guys are very credible and they spend a lot of time with him. So I do believe and accept his apology. But I don't believe he should be fired. I don't believe he should be punished. But I do want to continue to check his footprints in the sand.
Exactly. And not only that, you might look for some other emails or search around and see what he said to other people to know what kind of person that you're dealing with in the future, moving forward. Because again, you're a black man, you roll up in front of John Gruden right now, you're gonna look at him with a raised eyebrow. That's just the reality of the situation. Now let's get to a point, because it's very, very important that I bring this up, y'all. You brought up the whole social justice movement in the aftermath of George Floyd's killing and what have you. Molly, you've heard me say this before, but I'm gonna say this with Michael Irvin right here. When I talked about him being killed and we talked about the protests that were taking place in the streets, I said it wasn't just about the knee on the neck for more than 9 minutes of George Floyd. Metaphorically speaking, that's how black people have felt coming out of the womb in terms of how we felt about and treated by America. Why is that relevant when it comes to John Gruden? Let's go football. John Gruden wins the Super Bowl championship in 2002. He stays there coaching in Tampa Bay for the next 4 years. He makes the playoffs 2 times. That is it. John Gruden has now, I'm talking about in 6 years after that, he goes to the playoffs 2 times, missed the playoffs 4. John Gruden has now coached in the NFL for the last 10 years. He has 2 playoff appearances, but he got a $100 million contract with bonuses that can elevate that salary to $118 or $120 million. For anybody that's wondering why the Las Vegas Raiders players themselves might be a bit reluctant to speak out about how they truly, truly feel, that might be the reason why, because John Gruden, for all intents and purposes, ain't going anywhere, but they might. And so you got to remember that, and that might have some trepidation, some hesitancy to be as open as they could possibly be. So I don't know how seriously we take his players and what they have to say, simply because of the compromising position that they're being. It's not casting any aspersions on them whatsoever. They're just not in a position of power. When you look at somebody like a John Gruden, Black America looks at stuff like that and they say, this is how they think about it. This is how they feel about it, which is why for me, I'm a little bit different. When I see people on the air and they're getting emotional and they're all upset about John Gruden, we have a right to feel that way. Me personally, never phases me, because I think that they usually feel that way about us anyway. My point is that it's not every white person. I run across a lot of good white people, a lot of good white executives, to be quite honest, that are very fair-minded, all right, and go about the business of conducting themselves and would never do or say such a thing. But when you talk to your friends and you hear about their issues in the workplace and how executives talk about people, how they felt about people, even with the whole social justice movement, well, you know what, when we gonna get over this? I'm sick of this. You hear white executives say stuff like that, not realizing that black folks hear what's going on. My point is, when I heard what John Gruden said, and I realized how it was connotated, how it was received by folks in the black community, all I thought about was, I'm not surprised in the slightest. It's just the latest of what we always have to deal with. No matter how you smile in our face, behind our back, not all, not most, but far too many in positions of power and influence, this is how they truly feel. And that's why I don't let it break me, because it ain't breaking me. I just expect it. And you have to prove to me that you are otherwise.
And I respect that opinion. Can I just say one thing that I think is ironic?
Yeah.
When the mention of physical features, do you know how many people are running to the doctor's office to get physical features?
Yes. Call what it is, lip implants.
Yes,
There's a whole bunch of people
of
doing
black women, but and all of it,
Yeah.
and all different, and all different physical features.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into detail, but don't tell me black's not beautiful. We'll leave it right there. out of the absolutely loaded NFC. Kyler's Cards, Dallas and Dak, Brady and the Cowboys. Only one can win. Plus, Josh Allen and the Bills look like they're no joke, or perhaps Mahomes and company may have lost something. Stephen A. on Casey's chances of returning to Super Bowl form.